Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the two new sets in version 2.3, the Planar Ornament sets. This one of course has just been released in terms of the official stats on HoYoLab. You can check it out if you're interested. But I want to talk about which character can use it. Is it even worth farming? And what are some of the caveats that I have when you already have maybe other characters very well built? When do you switch? When do you do not switch over? So these are the two sets. Let's go in order. I think with the one that is more attractive to a lot of people, especially since Firefly is coming up, it's going to be the first relic set here, Forge of the Calpagni Lantern. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it right, but this is an interesting set because if you think about it, this set is the only speed set in the game. So of course, the character that is going to use this the best is definitely going to be Firefly. She would really love this set because she benefits from a bit of speed. She benefits from this break effect, massive break effect that you get. For any of you who are wondering, the other set here, let me just open this image a bit larger. The Thalia Kingdom of Banditry here, the maximum that you get is 36%. When you hit an enemy with fire weakness, you get 40%. So you already get straight up higher from this new set compared to Thalia Kingdom of Banditry. If any of you have a good Thalia Kingdom of Banditry, maybe you can slowly transition over to Forge of the Kalpagni Lantern. Otherwise, I highly recommend you just grab the Forge of the Kalpagni Lantern if you haven't like pre-farmed anything for Firefly yet. That is for her. That's why I think it's a lot better. She's a character that really loves break effect. Other than her, of course, if you don't care about the break effect elements, or maybe let's talk about the break effect elements, where else this might be slightly beneficial, I guess. Characters, for example, like Boot Hill, if you're playing into a Firefly team and you have someone to drop fire weakness, or maybe you're playing like a duo Silver Wolf and you're like attacking fire enemies, maybe I could see Boot Hill benefiting from this somewhat, especially since there's a very high amount of break effect. But then again, you don't want to farm a set that is very conditional on your enemies. But I think if you're playing like a Boot Hill Firefly double DPS team, this could see it work as well. Other than that, characters that would likely find some value of it, maybe Shui could also appreciate this break effect increase as well. 40%, but it's conditional, of course, whether the enemy has fire weakness or not. So just talking about a few of them. But now I think the fun one is who else can use this set other than, of course, we know break effect, characters that skill with break effect. What is very interesting is the speed 6% here. This is the fastest set in the game currently. If you are looking to build a character with massive amounts of speed, 12% for Messenger Traversing Hacker Space, tripping out my words here, and then 6% another one from speed. That is pretty much an 18 on average, because the average speed in the game is like 101, 102. You get about 18% speed just from the 4-piece and 2-piece set bonuses respectively. That's quite a good amount of speed. Characters that use speed probably would be characters that can transfer it over to other characters, like Hanya, for example. You can give her 18% speed, you get all that massive speed and push it over, especially if you're not playing with like, you don't need energy restoration, so you don't run Planar Land of Dreams on, for example, Hanya. You are not playing physical teams. If, for example, you don't care too much about crit damage, which Broken Kill does provide, then in that sense, you can give her like a bit more speed so you can hit certain thresholds as well. Break effect on physical characters, break effect on fire characters generally are quite favorable. So this is okay, I guess. But again, it's like running the Planar Land of Dream without same type DPS. It's still not bad, the first part of the effect, just that the second part you probably won't use it. And that's how I like to think of this set. In my opinion, quite generally good, but it's only really usable on characters, for example, like Firefly and the like. That is my thoughts on that. Other characters that can use the speed definitely will be Esther. Esther can actually make use of this whole effect quite well, since Esther does a good amount of fire break too. So you give her some speed, you slap on Messenger, Traversing Hacker Space, so she can out more often and whatnot, and you give her a bit of break effect, which is nice for her because Esther does attack very often. Her basic, her skill, all have to do with attacks, so you will generally have this uptime of this break effect quite high. If you are just playing like a free-to-play playing Esther, that's where I would consider it. Speed and any other character that can benefit from speed, really, you can consider this aspect if they are like a supportive character. If you are a DPS, there's going to be better DPS sets in the game. If you are a support, this speed is where it makes the difference, especially if you don't care about the energy restoration that the other sets like Planar Land of Dreams, Sprightly Von Weck provide you. This is actually a pretty good option to go for as well. But the one that is more interesting out of the two of them is actually Duran Dynasty of Running Wolves. This is the one that I really like and I think it has so much potential. Let me explain why. First of all, when allies use follow-up attacks. Now the wording is not very clear. When allies could also mean the character itself. Sometimes the wording is like slightly different on the sets. When allies tends to mean like anyone uses follow-up attack, but we have to exactly confirm it. The wearer receives 1 stat of merit, stacks up to 5 times, so when your allies, or I think you as well, use follow-up attacks, you get total of 5 stacks. Every stack of merit increases the follow-up attack damage by 5% up to 25% follow-up attack damage increase, so it's a bit of a ramp up, and once you hit the max 5 stacks, you gain 25 crit damage. This is very, very significant. If you look at the other sets in the game that offer you this much crit damage, is Sigonia, the Unclaimed Desolation, which gives you 4% crit rate, which is about an 8% crit value, and you get 40% crit damage here. So 48% from Sigonia, you get 25 in crit damage here, and another 25 in follow-up attacks. So when does Duran Dynasty of Running Wolves outperform Sigonia is when you have a character that does a significant value of their damage from follow-up attacks, and you don't want a massive long ramp-up cost. Maybe the enemy is like many single target units. So Duran of Dynasty of Running Wolves can be run in the Apocalyptic Shadow, can be run in the Memory of Chaos. Sigonia is generally more geared towards the pure fiction game mode where you have tons of enemies that you are defeating as well. So that is a caveat that you want to note, and when they are outperform each other. I think Duran is very, very generalistic. Since allies that can proc this follow-up attack, it's very, very easy to find people that can proc. But instead of talking about who procs this the best follow-up attacks, let's talk about who can use this and when I think it outperforms. The first character that I think is very strong will definitely be a character like Jade. She doesn't mind follow-up attacks. She doesn't mind the crit damage that she gets. Very, very synergetic with her overall kit. The only question is, especially a lot of these other DPS, is do you want to run the Inert Salsoto? I just put up the Inert Salsoto's effect over here. 8% crit rate, 16% crit value. When you have 50% higher crit rate, which is quite easy to achieve, you get a follow-up attack and out damage increase by 15%. So over here you can see 16% crit value and 15% follow-up and damage increase. Compared to Duran, Duran gives you more crit damage by about 9%, and as well as giving you 10% more follow-up attack damage increase. The only difference is it doesn't buff out damage compared to the Inert Salsoto. So any character that does damage in terms of just purely focusing on like basic attack, skill, and maybe the out doesn't do too much significant damage of the overall kit, can consider this Duran of Dynasty of Running Wolves. Character like Topaz and Nambi could definitely consider this one quite well as well. She doesn't do damage in the out, so Inert Salsoto is inferior in a sense. You can stack up this damage quite quickly since she's generally running with a lot of teammates that want to hit follow-up attacks, so you get a lot of follow-up attack damage increase, and you get crit damage increase for a character. If you are free-to-play, you'll be probably running with the free-to-play like Cone Cruising in the Stellar Sea, so you have tons of crit rate on a Hunt character already. So this is definitely very beneficial for a character like Topaz and Nambi, and I would likely want to switch my set to this for her in future too. Other characters that I think can benefit from this set will be any follow-up attacking characters, like for example Dr. Ratio, whose a lot of his damage actually comes outside of his ultimate ability. That's when I think this is going to outperform, and their team compositions generally will function a lot of this as well. Some people might say Aventurine might be quite interesting to run with this set too, since he does do quite a lot of follow-up attack damage, but a significant proportion also does come from his out. So that one I'll leave it up to us when we have tested it a little bit more once the game starts to really come to a final conclusion. But that's like some of my early thoughts. One character that I think really will use this really well is Clara. Clara is another Clara buff, is crazy. This is going to be very strong for her. She counter attacks. If you play her with March 7 even, you can like ramp up this follow-up attacks very, very quickly with the shield that March 7 provides Clara. And then Clara just counters. She benefits a lot from both the crit damage as well as the follow-up attack. The Inert Salsoto's ultimate damage portion doesn't matter as much as to a character like Clara. So this set, very, very strong for her. If you're a Clara main, you'll be really happy with this one. I think I would be too as well. Other than that, I think pretty much that's almost the other characters that I see. You of course have characters like Himiko as well as Herta that many people would consider running, since they do follow-up attack, and they also do they do benefit from a lot of this. But for these two characters, I think Sigonia is likely going to outperform, since you must think about their function case. Both of them are likely going to be played in the pure fiction game mode rather than Memory of Chaos, as well as the Apocalyptic Shadow game mode, given the nature of their kit, which is why, as we mentioned like at the start, Sigonia might be a bit better, since that it does give you a lot more crit value compared to the other stats that Duran Dynasty of Running Wolves gives. And not to mention that Duran of Dynasty of Running Wolves splits the bonus between follow-up and crit damage, whereas Sigonia is just straight up crit damage. Anything, I don't care whether you out, I don't care whether you follow up or whatever not, I just buff everything. So I think Sigonia is still likely going to be better for these two, in my opinion at least. And those are my thoughts. This is still a very, very strong set to have, which a lot of people at first glance might not expect too much of it. The only curiosity is, why didn't they make it reset to 0? Like, why is it like after a follow-up attack is done, then they reset it to 0? Maybe it's because they didn't want this to be like too irrelevant. Maybe they wanted a real significant buff on follow-up attackers. And as you can see here on the list, that people that can use it, and this is not the whole list, there are definitely other characters that I'm not talking about on this list because it could extend to like 5 hours long if we go through every single nitty-gritty. But yeah, those are my thoughts. If there's anything I missed, please feel free to leave in the comment section below. I'm sure a lot of us will be happy to discuss with each other so we can grow as a community. At this point, we also have another video where we talk about the 2 other 4-piece set bonuses. Go ahead and click it on this end screen here if you're interested in the other sets in the same fashion as we analyzed here. Otherwise, guys, thank you guys so much for watching again, and see you in the next video.